public want to comment? I'll take that as a no.
No.
Second item on the public hearing, amending allowable uses in C1 and C2 zones in the city of Boonville. Does anybody want to speak to that? No. We will close the public hearing. Susan?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, thank you for this first day of spring, and thank you for all the people who come together to make our community a good place to live. Be with us tonight as we work through issues and make decisions that we hope will be to the benefit of all. And as always, guide us and allow us to do good and be good to one another. Amen.
Amen. Whitney?
Say, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda under unfinished business. I would like to add third reading of bill number 2023-008, approving and rezoning application for Hell Ridge Golf Course.
So that would be item F.
Yes, sir.
Second.
All right.
We need a second and a roll call.
Second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Andrew. Roll call?
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes.
Noble,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
And Young.
Yes.
We're all here. Hearing of sittings, hearing of citizens' comments. Is there?
Before we need a roll call. That was just a roll call vote, but now you'll roll call the meeting.
Boy, you're right.
Oh, wow.
We gotta do that twice.
Sorry.
Roll call.
I think we got a full house.
Meadows,
Here.
Cowherd,
Here.
Harville,
Here.
Gilbert,
Here.
Venable,
Here.
Turner,
Here.
Stock,
Here.
Young.
Here.
All right. Got a full house. Item 4, hearing of citizens' comments. Did somebody have something they want to say? You look like you're anxious.
Me?
It's all yours.
I'm not able to get here very often. Everybody pretty well knows me, so I'm Bill Lang. I better write my name down, I guess.
Yes, please.
What ward am I in? Boulder Drive? 2? 1?
Are you two?
Never mind.
One.
Is it
One.
Which ward is he in?
1, I think it is.
Yes.
Most everybody here probably knows me because I've been around quite a while. Anyway, in my interest of the community, I drive around a lot just to see what happens next. And all my kids come in to visit, and I also want to show them what's new in our community. In the process, I know we've been doing a lot of advancement on the, seem like new housing subdivisions. And it looks like we're doing a big hump on that. I was looking, I think we got about 10 of them if you count them all, including the county. It's quite a bunch, and they go from the east almost to the Woolridge, to west clear past the fairgrounds, out past almost to Billingsville, of subdivisions that are occurring within the city and the county. And that's quite a bunch. And most of them in mostly flat areas, which is basically no problems and very acceptable how they were designed. But we do have one in the city of Boonville that concerned me a lot. And I felt like the city council should have something to say about it or do something about it. And that is the one at the golf links. And the reason I'm concerned about it was the fact I drove it. And being a past construction worker and electrician in the past, I'm concerned about that hill that goes up to the second level. And I'm also concerned about the hill that goes up to the Ashley Road. If you drive them, you'll understand why I'm saying this. I think the lower level basically needs another out And I think that open road that used to be to the park should maybe still be accessible in case of emergency. Because the first wreck that happens at the top of that hill is going to tie up the entrance to that exit, to that subdivision. And then they're going, the fire trucks or school buses or whoever it might happen, ain't gonna have a way out or in. And it's gonna be a problem. And going up to the second level, I come down that hill and I hope the world of ash truck or the cinder truck doesn't even have trouble getting up and down it. That's really a problem. It's not so much that it's a straight up and down hill, it's one like this and a 40-foot drop off. Now that really concerned me a lot. If I was a school bus driver and I had a load of kids, I'd never even want to go up it, much less come down it. And now I think about the fire department has to go up it, the emergency vehicles of any type, whether it's police or fire or whatever. You know, you need an access to a second way out. And you get up on that level and there's no way out, no matter what the emergency is on the second level. What are you going to do? Go through the woods or whatever? So I drove around and took a little bit of my own time and driving around and see if there was a possible way there could be an exit designed to put in that second level. And so I drove right on the Kate Farrell Estates. On the other side comes off of Oakland Lake Road. And there's a opening that's been put in there between the two tires. The one tire that's on, West Count Grant's property, but I don't know who owns it now. I think they sold it. But that one tire is on his property, the one on the east side. The other, of course, is a cable TV tire. And I don't know, I guess that's their property that it's on. But that exit that comes through there, it only goes about 200 feet, stops and dead end. But that could be extended on over to that upper level on that subdivision and give them an out, which is about the same level as the second level is on that subdivision from the north. So I think the city council or somebody I know when you approve a layout, your paper you're looking at is a downhill paper. You're not looking at the paper that's up and down or this way when you look at a subdivision layout, and you kind of don't see all the angles or the levels that's involved in sometimes, and it gets approved. But that should be somewhere looked into a little bit more seriously as to the emergency exit to get those people in or out of there. And boy, I feel sorry. I'd be a school bus driver. I'd definitely refuse to take a bunch of kids up and down that hill, especially if it was a little bit wet and slick. And he's going to end up with some kids in the bottom of that holler. And if it's a straight up and down hill, which we have, and Jeff City's full of them, as you've probably been to Jeff City. But you know, they don't snake or anything like this. They're all up and down one way or the other. And that maybe at least if you start sliding, you can end up at the bottom or at the top, some way or the other. We're here on a curve of this situation. It concerns me a lot, and I think it ought to be looked into. And I was going to bring it to the council's attention that I don't know whose ward that is, but I think they need to be concerned about it and see if something towards. They got 3 duplexes started at the bottom level. Looking at them, and look very nice. And I think they still need to reserve another exit out at the bottom level, because I know when the Knights of Columbus took over the Rod and Gun Club, I was very concerned about I only had one exit into the driveway at the Knights of Columbus Hall. I know after time went by, I finally got somebody to approve to put a second exit down lower on the same street, but at least there's another way in or out. And I think it's very important that you think about that when you approve a subdivision about the exit and getting in and out. Now, of course, the county, I know you got no control over that. But in the city, I think you do, and I think you need to look into this situation and see if you can maybe upgrade it and make it a little bit better. And those that are going to live in that area will feel safe, and that they got that their necessary services will be able to get to them and take care of them. And that's about what my comment is on it. Anybody got any questions on that? To me, I mean, what did I see?
Okay, thanks, Bill.
And I just want to bring it to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Anybody else?
Hello, I'm Gary Francis. Melda and I own the buildings at 501, 505 Main, just across Chestnut from the barbecue place. And next Monday, we're scheduled to replace the roofs on those. And I'm just concerned about the parking on that half a block between Main and the alley, there on Chestnut. Something falls off the roof while they're doing it, smashes somebody's car walking. We're talking about four spaces. And I just wondered if we could restrict that.
Okay.
I know, and I apologize, I didn't even know I had to fill one of these out. I apologize. But that's all I'm asking.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Easy for you to say. Approval of the minutes from the March 6th council meeting. Any changes or correction? We got Barry's. Anybody else's? There being none, they were accepted. There are no consent items. Presentation of accounts and claims, it's on page 7.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries in various accounts against the city of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on March 20th, 2023, the sum of $401,166.80. General fund, $222,017.62. Sanitation, $33,779.88. CIP tax, $15,261.85. Waterworks, $39,950.19. Capital projects, $3,127.75. Wastewater, $44,828.39. Tourism, $193.98. Gaming, $17,829.27. Parks and Water, $9,177.87. Kemper sales tax, $0.00. Economic Development Project, $0.00. Section 2, the accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $401,166.80, being the total amount of money being appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be in force from and after its passage, first reading on March 20th, 2023, read for the second time this March 20th, 2023, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve these appropriations.
Thank you, Susan. Second?
Second?
Thanks, Whitney. Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Coward,
Yes.
Marble,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Item 8, unfinished business. Item A, second reading of bill number 2023-009, ordinance amending rates to be paid water and wastewater services.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending the water service rates and wastewater service rates, portions of the Schedule of Administrative Fees, Appendix G in the Code of General Ordinances, providing an effective date therefore and repealing parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion this bill be approved.
Thank you, Whitney. Second?
I second.
Thank you, Susan. Discussion, comments?
Just want to be clear, I guess. We are amending that from, what is it, to 8% for water and 7% for waste. Is that right? What are we amending it to?
It's the 9.5 on water and 8.5 on sewer.
So I thought the amendment last week on reducing that passed. No? So we're at 8, we're still at 9, what is it now?
9.5 on water and 8.5 on sewer.
Oh, sure. Okay. Glad I asked.
Yeah. Anybody else? Roll call.
Well, what are we amending then, maybe? That's the,
It's the schedule of fees that's at the end, and it was in the previous packet, so it's the rates that people pay per meter size is how it's figured, and it's an across-the-board increase. So it's a little harder than sanitation, I just wanna say, like sanitation, we can kinda talk about like, oh, on sanitation, it's gonna go from 10 to 12 or whatever per pickup, but water's a little different because there's different size meters. And if you recall from the last work session, we had the, where we showed you what an average customer was and then what a
Yes.
minimum use customer, but obviously people can use anything from 0 gallons to a lot.
So the minimum gallons is 1,000 gallons, right? Mm-hmm. And that's gonna be based on if they, anything over 1,000 gallons, it's 9.5%. Or is it 9.5% at 1,000?
It's a 9.5 on 1,000 also.
Okay.
So what happened to the discussion about changing it to 8?
Well, you guys didn't
I thought we,
take that up.
I thought we discussed that and I thought we passed
But I
that.
watched it. Nothing happened.
Yeah, there was no movement to change it. So I gave you guys options
Yeah.
and no one changed my
Okay.
presented budget.
So is that option still open or no?
There's a motion on the table to be voted for.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would have to figure out what you want to do with the motion and the second currently, and then you could discuss it. And then there would have to be probably an ensuing budget amendment also.
It's okay to clarify, these rate increases are to cover increased expenses. There's no addition in that. It's just covering increased expenses that have occurred the past year.
Yeah, it's primarily increased and then to cover the necessary capital costs.
So it's breaking even. It's a way for this fund to sustain itself without robbing from other parts of the city budget
Right.
to,
Correct.
okay, thank you.
This is to maintain its self-sufficiency status, which we've worked to keep. As I've said, water and sewer are finally at a self-sufficiency status. Sanitation is not at a self-sufficiency status.
Roll call.
Oh, did we have a,
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
I seconded.
okay, who was the first?
Whitney.
Oh, yes, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
No.
Elbert,
No.
Venable,
Yes,
Turner,
No.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item B, second reading of bill number 2023-010, approving a land lease with Missouri Department of Natural Resources for Katie Caboose.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to renew the land lease agreement with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for the land under the Caboose and Railroad Signal for interpretation and historical display near the Katy Depot, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Motion.
Motion we approve this now?
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Mike. Discussion.
How long is the lease for, the new lease?
10 years.
10 years?
Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable,
yes,
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item C, second reading of bill number 2023-011, amending chapter X, article, actually that's chapter 10. Article 13, medical marijuana facilities.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending Article 13, medical marijuana facilities in Chapter 10, licenses and taxation, Boonville Code of General Ordinances, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve this bill.
Thanks, Whitney. Second?
I second.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, Kate, this second reading amendment, this is treating essentially recreation and medical the same, is that correct?
Correct, we just basically took the existing medical and put, medical / comprehensive facilities, that's what they are. If you're selling, you could do medicinal and recreational combined, or you can still have a standalone medicinal marijuana.
Anyone that wants to open one of those has to get a license to the city, is that correct?
A
Or is
business
it only
license,
a business license, and then the marijuana license would be a state issued thing?
yes.
What percent of taxes would the city be getting?
Right now, there's, it will just be the regular sales tax. Next year, we can take up the issue and have a discussion with council if they want to add the additional 3% sales tax. That has to be voted on by the citizens.
So Kate, who's gonna be doing the inspection, the health inspector on these buildings? Or-
Well, so if it's, the way it is in the ordinance, it's actually the police and the building inspector and the fire, and it's all of the above, basically. And they go in to make sure from a health and safety standpoint it meets. Now, obviously, it depends also what kind of facility it is, but they will do all of that. But then if it's a place that is, say, making brownies and infusing those brownies with marijuana, then that would probably lead into the health department at the county, because they do all of the health inspections for the city. We don't do that ourselves.
So we don't have a health inspector?
We have a health inspector, but we don't do food establishment inspections. We gave that up. Were you okay? It's been a long time. Probably at least 10 years since we've not done food inspections. We let the county health department do all of those things.
Do we have any idea, like, I mean, because I'm just looking at it as, you know, okay, well, it's got cheaper tax in Boonville, so let's go to Boonville. And do we have any idea, like, you know, Columbia and them, are they doing like I would assume it's like a sin tax maybe?
I think they have on this April ballot the 3%, and the county has a 3% sales tax on their ballot. So I'll be honest with you, it was just, I missed it. It was one of those things that got buried in there, and I was worried about getting our zoning right, and I didn't bring it to your guys' attention now. But there's no, like, you can't, if the council chose, you haven't lost your opportunity at a later point. So,
I mean, we can put it forward, but it's ultimately not our vote anyways. But,
Right.
You know, okay, well, I think that we may actually see influx of people coming here if it's cheaper to buy it here, I would assume, but, yeah.
and they'll still have to get a state license, and I'm
Gas takes a little of that.
very unclear what that process looks like. So I don't know if everyone who applies gets one. At one time, like with medical, there was only so many they gave out. And for people who were on the council at that point in time, I think we had 3 or 4 facilities, and none of them got a license. So I don't know what the chances are when you submit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the amendment that we all voted for, it does do a 6% state sales tax, and then there's an option for a maximum of 3% local tax, but you can't exceed 3%. So that's part of statute. So just
Right.
FYI. So you could do 1, 0, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
You cannot do 4. So Columbia it does look like Columbia is looking at a 3%, by the way.
And I think Ashland put a 3% on theirs.
I had, I think, 2 weeks ago, asked Randy about how the law applies on this in terms of driving under the influence. And I think, if I understood you correctly, you said that almost the same as alcohol, except they would have to have the marijuana in the car itself. Is that what I understood you to say?
They can have the marijuana in the vehicle, but
Okay.
nobody inside the vehicle whatsoever can be smoking inside that vehicle.
No one can be smoking in the vehicle.
Yes, and if you're driving impaired, the officer would have to articulate that, and you could actually get a driving while under the influence with marijuana if you're impaired.
But did I understand there, like, you have a breathalyzer, but not for pot, is that right?
At this point in time, there's nothing, you know, besides doing blood tests or something like that.
You'd have to get a blood test to,
And the state it'd be too many blood tests for them, so they're not doing that right now.
So is it like
I
a
just
field
wanted to be clear on
sobriety,
that.
or is it like a field
That's,
sobriety?
yeah, you do a field sobriety on, there's, you know, you can articulate the driving, the pupils and, you know, their balance and the speech, things like, you just have to articulate that and then try to, send it to court.
okay, great.
I think just so everyone knows, there'll probably be one more layer of ordinances we'll add for this, and that is gonna be specific to the criminal side of it. We're gonna make some of these municipal violations as opposed to so like instead of going to the county, we'll prosecute them here in-house, but that will take an ordinance change, and that's something Doug's working on for us right now.
Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Coward,
Yes.
Horrible,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Hannibal,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes,
Schott,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Passes. Item D, second reading of bill number 2023-012, amending allowable uses in C1 and C2 zones in the city of Boonville.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending the list of permitted uses in the C1 Local Commercial District and C2 Central Commercial Zoning District. Boonville Code of General Ordinances, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve this bill.
Thanks, Whitney.
I'll second.
Thanks, Steve. Discussion.
Can you explain to me the difference between a C1 and C2?
Yep, so when we talk about zones, C1 and C2, typically we're just talking about the intensity of use at a place. So we talk about things about like parking, truck traffic, odor, noise, how many people are coming in and out. Am I missing anything, Steve?
What the facility's used for, if it raises to the level of, you know, C1 basically is more of a, it's more for like sales, stuff like that. Get into C2, then it raises to a little higher level. You can have somewhat of some manufacturing, light manufacturing, things like that. So it's just a little bit of, like I said, there's just a little difference in between the two.
And then the final highest form of intensity is what we call an M1, and that would be like really intense manufacturing or stuff that has a lot of outdoor storage. That's something else we talk about. So when we talk about zoning, it's really about the intensity of the activity and how, I don't want to say bothersome, but how much stuff is going on and how it could be bothersome to some people.
So what would that marijuana be, if he sells it, would it be a C2 or a C1?
So for a dispensary is a
Yeah.
C1, and it follows the liquor license, or the liquor law, so it's 100 feet from a school or a church. But then infusion, growing, testing is all in a C2 zone.
So, can you give us a summary of what we're changing?
Yeah, so basically, what we've changed is currently in a C1 zone, we allow a medical marijuana dispensary. It's being changed to say medical marijuana dispensary, comprehensive marijuana dispensary. So you're just adding comprehensive. And then in a C2 zone, it currently says, medical marijuana infusion, medical marijuana growing. It is amended to say those two things plus comprehensive marijuana infusion, comprehensive marijuana facility growing. And then we eliminated the word testing on a testing facility. It used to say medical marijuana testing, but now it just says marijuana testing.
Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Item E, discussion, action on table bill number 2023-006, approving a final site plan for 512 Investments, Lot 2A. Are you gonna do that, Steve? You going to?
Mayor, I move to untable bill number 2023-006.
Okay, got a second? Second. Thank you. Discussion. Do we need it?
Is this design still in limbo? Is that why we needed this table?
No,
this?
it actually is no longer in limbo, so planning and zoning heard a replat request, which is on new business at their last meeting. And the developer is asking for this to basically be put on the table forever, so.
Or just vote on the untable.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you gotta vote, sorry.
Yeah, untable, then we'll discuss.
All right, do we need to vote?
Yep.
To untable it? That's what?
Yep.
Okay, motion?
He already made a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Yep, it's been seconded.
Right there?
Ready for roll
Okay.
call.
Jeez. Roll call.
Yes, yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
This is-
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
and Young.
Yes.
Item F,
Wait, before that, we got some more action on that one.
Will you?
Yes,
So it's untabled, right?
it's untabled, so now we can talk about it.
So this is the one that had a boundary issue, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That there was something going on with where they thought that the line was and it wasn't and is and now it's one.
Yeah, it's just that the prospective buyers had asked for an additional 30 feet of land on the back side of the building, so they would have, currently the footprint of the building, the property line is right on the corner of the
Gotcha.
building, so they wanted more access.
Understand.
Well, who owns that 30 feet?
It's the developer owns the whole lot. So he had platted it that way,
Oh, well,
and now the potential buyer's like, well, I want a little more.
okay, so,
And they couldn't subdivide it because it doesn't meet our subdivision requirements. So they're just adding to the lot.
so does it need to go back to the planning and zoning or, okay, all right.
It has or it needs to?
It will through the buyer now. So the planning and zoning already heard the replat request, and that's the first reading. But the buyers are gonna come to planning and zoning with their development plan.
Mayor, I make a motion that we postpone this bill, 2023-006 indefinitely.
how about a second?
I second it.
Thanks, Susan. Any more discussion?
Why are we wanting to postpone
This,
this?
so this will just kill this bill, then when they want to come back, they can go back to planning and zoning and redo it. So this just ends this one, takes it off
So
the
the
table.
buyer can
puts it away.
redo it and he,
Yeah.
Right.
Without voting it down. You're not getting rid of it.
Did you get it?
not really, but we'll go with it.
Okay,
I trust him.
roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yep.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Item F, third reading of bill number 2023-008. I don't have the description.
You're gonna have to pull up, do you need to pull it up?
That's
That's the added, we added to the agenda, the rezoning of Hill Ridge.
Oh, so, okay.
I have it. This is what we amended the agenda.
Oh,
When we
okay,
amend it,
okay,
it
okay,
has
okay,
to
okay.
be-
Maybe I have it.
So I had a copy of it.
Yeah, did you need it?
Yeah, please,
I
sorry.
didn't realize you needed it back, sorry.
It'll be like, it'll be this one. It's like the fourth or fifth.
This is an ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the rezoning application for Hale Ridge Golf Course, located at 17511 Highway 87. Is there a motion?
What page is it on?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion Mike, second?
Second.
Did you get it, Whitney?
Up to you, Chairman.
Okay, you got it. All right, discussion.
The golf course will be now essentially be a park, correct?
It will be a park.
Thank you.
Yep.
Roll call.
Sorry, Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 9, new business. A, first and second reading of bill number 2023-013, amending the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. It's on page 9.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending the budget for the period April 1, 2022 through March 31, 2023. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the budget for the City of Boonville for the year beginning April 1, 2022 and ending March 31, 2023 is hereby amended as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof. Section 2, the various expense and revenue allowances unaffected by this budget amendment shall remain in effect. Section 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. First and second reading, March 20th, 2023, read for the first and second time and passed this 20th day, March 2023, after a copy of this ordinance has been made available for public inspection prior to its first and second reading, approved this 20th day of March 2023.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Susan. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Andrew. Discussion, questions?
We basically got $217,000 back. Is that what I'm reading? That's the change in parentheses?
So on the budget amendment, if it's a parentheses, that means it's less than, or we're taking it out of the budget, we've reduced the revenues or the expenses. If it's a plus, we're adding to. And so each of the affected funds, I have either an addition or a subtraction depending on what has been going on to kind of true up with the year.
Oh, okay, so that was just transfer from other funds, so that wasn't a total. I was thinking that last line item on 26,850 was the total. So what was the total difference? I mean,
Well, each one was a little bit different, so, so in General Fund 1, we had additional revenues, I have all my notes, hold on, I'm sorry. I wanna say it was about, give or take, 150,000 is basically what we've adjusted that by. And then O2, which is sanitation, because we collected that fuel surcharge, I have to account for that in the budget. So that is the revenue there. 06, we had a reduction, so we were not gonna meet our revenue build. I do not anticipate. Budget, so I've reduced that. And then I've had to reduce the expenditure budget by a corresponding amount, so the two budgets align. In 07, we added a new account, which is the capital improvements 07 revenue. That's the money we got from the Cooper County for the ARPA funds. We got $282,000. We have expended some of that I think it was like about 132. The rest of it we have not expended yet. Also in that 07 account is all of the ARPA money that we got, so there's already an additional, I think it was 859, which is what we got this year already in that account, and that has not all been spent, obviously. In 08, so if you remember, we were doing the FEMA and SEMA projects, so the federal and state grants, that's the reimbursement we've finally gotten. I think we are missing just one small reimbursement, maybe. I think it's like $40,000. I bet it won't make it before the budget yet, so I probably won't make it before the 31st, but this is the amount that we were reimbursed. Most of what we were reimbursed was at 95%, so that came through the state. And then obviously we expended money, so back when we did the budget last year this time, I only put 150,000 in. I knew we would spend more, but we didn't even have really an idea of what we were going to spend at that point in time. So I'm amending that to reflect what we've spent, which is that 600,000. And then gaming, you'll just note, I think we talked about this when we talked about the gaming budget itself, that the aisle, it appears, just based on our revenue, has changed their marketing or what they're doing. So their gaming revenues are significantly higher, but you'll note that the admissions is significantly lower. So what, I don't know what that is or what's going on, but that is the reflection of what actually occurred this year. And then as a result, we amended some of our funds, and that's because under that 40 on the second page, that 1701 4361, the MP&I, you'll see there's a significant change in what we had budgeted, an additional 370,000. That the bulk of that honestly was the $200,000 for the new HVAC system at City Hall. So we needed to kind of true up the way we spent that money. And then parks and stormwater, I always budget with how much I think we're going to have to transfer from other funds to make that soccer loan pay off each year. But because we let the use tax accrue once we've given, we already allocate a certain amount of the use tax to the 01, the general fund, and then we give right away some to the 05 account, which is what pays for capital for parks, fire, police, animal control, and street. That's the half-cent sales tax. Once we just let that accrue, so it's always more than we think, but that helps offset what gaming has to supplement the transfer with, or sometimes we've also transferred from 05 from the CIP tax. So anyways, all that to say, it just sort of moves the money around so it looks closer to what the year actually looked like, with the goal being that your revenues are equal to or more than your expenditures. And so it's a little bit of a guessing game. Part of why it's late is because I'm trying to make sure I get as many revenues, and now I'm only guessing from March 16th to the 31st.
And so a lot of this is just sharpening our pencils so we know where the actuals will be. And also know what we're getting on reimbursements now, probably clearer than what we had a month ago.
Yep, exactly.
Great.
And we always do this at the very last meeting of the council year. So like I said, we're always waiting until we have as clear of a picture. Obviously, if we could amend the budget in April 15th, that would be the best way to do it, because then you would know exactly what you got. But that's not the way we're allowed to do it. So it's kind of just a cleanup is really what it is.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Harville,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Doc,
Yes.
Young.
Yeah. Passes. Item 9B. The first reading of bill number 2023-014, approving a replat of 1290 Locust Street. It's on pages 11 through 15.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving a replat in the northwest quarter of Section 36, Township 49 North, Range 17 West, formerly owned by the state of Missouri, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Motion?
Nope, nothing. We'll do next section.
That's first reading. Item C, GIS Development Consultant Selection, pages 14 and 15.
Jeff? Yeah, you can let, Teresa's got scratchy voice, so.
You win.
Well, everybody read it, I guess. Kind of see what's going on. Well, what it amounts to is we went through 4 different people looking at these things. We spent time with each one of them, some of them once, some of them twice. The second paragraph shows kind of what we looked at. We actually kept score, what we was doing, how many points each one of them got. At the end, we came up with SAM being the one that we picked out. SAM stands for Survey and Mapping. They're also the Cooper County. If you look on GIS on Cooper County, that's who that is, it's SAM. Moberly's using them, Centralia's using them. I talked to both those people, and they both said they was having really good luck with them. So we feel comfortable in making this our decision. Anybody got any questions on any of it?
I thought the original estimate was like 200,000 or something. That sticks
That's
out.
when, I think when we was budgeting and not really knowing what we was gonna get into, kind of a deal, probably.
I mean, I have access to GIS through work, and this is cheap. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
In a good way.
In a good way. I'm sorry.
Glad you're sorry for that.
Like I said, it's working for Centralia and Moberly, both pretty happy with what they've done, so, and we talked to several.
Jeff, can you give us a quick summary of what all this, so I think, I mean, most people are familiar with the GIS mapping aspect, but what will this give the city? What
they're
are
not-
the big benefits?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, we've got this lead in the ground that we've gotta do, so that's something we gotta have on inventory. That's one of the main reasons we wanted to jump on it, but, a lot of towns are doing this now, where they're doing their streets, they're doing their water, they're doing their sewer, seeing what kind of manhole it's made out of, what kind of pipes underneath the ground, just all kinds of different benefits for us.
Will it be, so it's sewer for sure, will it have other utilities besides sewer?
Sewer and water would be the first 2 that we start off with.
Okay.
For sure.
Will the information here be public, like we are looking at?
I would say we can.
No?
We're gonna
Is
leave
that a
our
safety issue or
information,
something?
yeah, we're gonna leave our information private, but obviously we can give like a temporary password. So if we are doing a water repair, we can give a temporary password to contractors so they can get in to see where our utilities are. Or if like we're working with a developer on a subdivision or those sort of things, we can share with them this information, but it won't be like GIS where someone will be like, where's my water main? Like it's a private information mainly for our purposes. And it is kind of mainly a safety issue. I mean, it's just, we don't want everyone to know where everything is.
Yeah, especially with some of that expensive equipment or copper or whatever that can be salvaged easily.
And we also don't want people to like bypass calling before digging by thinking like, oh, I looked up, it's nowhere near there, and then just there they go. So, yeah.
Is this going to ever be integrated with, I thought we were talking about doing that with the water, like the STAR systems as well, or no? Does it have anything to do with that at all, or no?
We're all just gonna be getting into this, so we're not like we're knowing what we're doing exactly yet. We know what we're trying to get accomplished, and then we're gonna do it slowly, needless to say. It's not something we're gonna just jump into and kill it all at one time.
Well, I just didn't know if, I didn't know, like, say you GIS map, and then on top of that, we have, okay, well, this part of town is all, have the water mains, and we know that we can hit all of these, you know. I don't know, there's a lot of different uses you could do with that GIS map.
It'll have all the water mains, it'll have all the manholes, it will have all the sewer, it will have where the valves are, where the fire hydrants are, where our tornado sirens are. We eventually will want to overlay it with our roads, so that way you can actually map your roads and say, we did an overlay here, here, and here in 2013, and we did a full rebuild over here in 2015, so we'll have all of that data as well. And then, like they noted in the memo, they GIS cemetery plots, which really piqued our interest because our cemetery plots are in like a library card file, so that's a very interesting idea. But also over time, I mean, you can keep adding whatever layers you want. And we've talked about sort of coupling this with general asset management. So when we're flushing hydrants, flushing valves, exercising the valves, that stuff will be in there as well. So even we could say, look at some point in time, and with Esri, it has the ability to do some heat mapping and some information things. So you'd be like, wow, we've had 5 water main breaks right here. This is clearly where we need to focus our energy. So we're hoping it'll help us a little bit on that. But like Jeff said, we're doing the maintenance side in-house, and then also like the using of it in-house and the adding of new things in-house. And so this will be a position that sort of is growing as the people become more competent, all of us become more
Yeah,
competent.
we're gonna crawl at the beginning, but
Yeah.
we expect it
Yeah.
to go pretty good. We're
With
gonna
that
get
GIS
involved.
mapping, it's amazing. I mean, you can do future builds, you can, okay, well, this is where it is today, these areas need to have, it would be smarter if we ran this line this way. I mean, there are so many things you
Yeah,
can
there
do
is.
with that.
Really, it's a good thing, and it's time for it, no doubt.
And I don't know that we talked about this, but for maybe some of you who weren't here, what the lead service line, of course, was part of it, but the other impetus was, we've had some critical staff who have retired, and we have paper maps, and they're not always accurate, as we know. And luckily, most of our folks today still have a pretty good, like, I think that one's not quite right, or I think the manhole's on the other side of the street, but it's not perfect. And so just for the longevity of the city, you know, we have to have where it is, where it actually is. And so this will actually sort of serve as a correction to all that paper, because we'll locate it and verify all of that as we map those resources.
So that 32,000 includes them like literally going all over the city and mapping things? Or does that include?
No,
that?
no,
It does
we'll,
not?
we'll be probably doing most of that stuff. That's the setting up of it and getting it all ready for us and teaching us how to use it and.
Okay, so they'll give us the equipment and then we go do, okay.
Yes, yes. We can get them to do as much as we want, but we're gonna have to pay for it. So our theory, especially starting out, is to try to do everything ourselves. We've got a person we're gonna have dedicated to this, that'll be on it 85, 90% of the time, you know. So it's gonna be a learning curve for everybody, but we're gonna just kind of crawl and kind of get into it more and more as we go along and pick things out, what we wanna do next, and go from there. Thanks, Jeff.
I guess just to close up, if you guys are generally comfortable, then we will move forward with contracting with Sam, which you guys will see as a resolution probably for a contract for services, unless anyone has any heartburn with that decision.
Okay. Reports of standing committees. Planning and zoning. The minutes are in your packet. Any questions? Okay. Industrial Development Authority on page 18. Any questions or thoughts? Okay, item 11.
Mr. Mayor, I had one.
Okay, good.
On, IDA board, what's this Kawasaki payment on forgiveness loans? What is that?
Several,
That's what we gave up on the incentive.
yeah.
It's one of the incentives we gave them. We put it out there, and then if they achieve certain criteria, then they don't have to pay it back.
What was the criteria? Can you tell me?
It's
Yeah.
jobs.
Jobs.
They hire so many people, then we won't.
Yeah, and the money was initially given to the IDA maybe in 2009 or 10, 11, it's a while now. So they've used it, this is the second time that they've used this pot of money. So they've done both of them in the term of a forgivable loan.
Where's the funding for this, the 509, where's that come from?
It came from the city. The city gave, so back again, I think it was in 2009 or 10, I'd have to go back through my notes, when we were talking about economic development, the IDA made a request of the city to sort of give, at that time, I think it was $1 million, to just give them the ability to do some incentives in whatever capacity that looked like. It could have been a land purchase, it could have been a spec building, it could have been running infrastructure. So they have mainly sat on that, and like I said, they've done this twice now on the forgivable loan. That group, the IDA, decided that the forgivable loan was probably the most flexible incentive tool they could make, because in our experience, if you buy land, then they want to be over there, and if you offer something else, then that's not quite right. So this kind of enabled them to tailor the funds to the needs of the person coming, or the company coming, I should say.
So do we do that for a lot of businesses come in Boonville?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that we do it for a lot of businesses. I would say that we try to do it for those that we see good benefit for. And we're talking about large employment packages for the most part, Barry. And the IDA was is the organization that preceded what we have now, BCDC. BCDC was formed because IDA had some things they couldn't do. So we formed the BCDC to do kind of the same thing, you know, attract business, try and make the community more attractive. So that,
So is
yes,
there, I'm sorry.
it's economic development is what it is.
So is there a request process that goes through, you go through
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's, you could get that from,
Yes, and that, like I said, this is only the second forgivable loan they have given. Prior to these funds being available, the city had done a TIF, the city had done some CDBG grants, that's how they helped Caterpillar do an expansion. So, you know, like, over the whole course of the history, there have been several things that they have utilized over time.
So then I pay the water bill or or something for the loans, is that what it is? I mean, or just, they had to hire 25 people or something, you know?
Yeah, the IDA has a small committee that takes up the project itself, and it's usually, it is based entirely on job creation. I think they've kind of tied a dollar amount to jobs, haven't they?
Yes,
rather than.
these jobs, it's dollars.
Gigi's.
They tied it to jobs.
Yeah.
And they had to, I believe it was 225 they had to reach, and they've already exceeded that.
Yep.
I mean, at the time, that was like, really, you're gonna bring 225 to 250 jobs here, so that was,
And
I'm not on the IDA, I just sit in on it.
they ended up with 381 or something like that.
Yeah, they're at 362 the last time I.
352, yeah.
And counting.
And it's worth noting too that job creation conversation occurs with both the company and the IDA. So it's obviously they want the company to succeed. So the numbers reflect really what the company thinks they're capable or what their plans are doing. You know, and then if they don't meet the requirements of the year breakdown, then they have to pay back that year that they missed their goal.
Item 11, reports of city officials. City administrator?
Okay, I'm gonna pass it over to Randy for a discussion on police employment contracts. So this is something that we had wanted to try to put in for this fiscal year, to try to help keep us competitive with nearby communities, so.
Yeah, this is kind of common in law enforcement now. The one that's in the book, we kind of mirrored, I guess, was it West Plains is pretty close to what that. What it is tries to get us somebody that we can send through the academy, LETI is what we kind of look at, and get a contract from them where we're at least going to keep them for 3 years, so we're just not a revolving door like we've been for years now. We hire them, we train them for a little bit, and they leave without a year. We buy them a vest. The vest comes in after they're already out the door, and we're out that money. So we're trying to make it a little, keep them here. You know, hey, if we're going to send you through an academy, you know, you're gonna have to pay us a little bit back by saying you're gonna stay here a couple of years for us and help us out. So that's kind of the normal now. That's what all departments are doing. Matter of fact, Warrensburg, they used to have recruitment where you go up there and recruit people. Well, they canceled it because there was only like 1 or 2 students in a class that weren't sponsored by law enforcement. So that's a new thing. It's something new for us, and it's something we're trying to implement to get maybe some good recruits. We know that the process would be we'd still interview with the police board, and we know we'd want to pick a good candidate that think would fit with the city of Boonville to send through.
Is this training offered right up front, or are they on board for a few months before they go through this academy training?
You have to be trained and post-certified before you can be a police officer, so they'd have to have the training first.
They have to have that before they can be?
Yes, and you're talking 4.5, 5 months to go through that academy. And I checked with it, I think it was currently, when I checked, was 5,000, he was getting ready to raise it to 6, so it's about $6,000.
2 observations. I personally think the reimbursement scale should be reduced to 2 years, but that's just a matter of opinion on that. I mean, I would say 2 years, 100% reimbursement, and then, it'd be no reimbursement required, and then 1 year, maybe 50%, basically reducing the time frame from 3 to 2. The other thing, so if the employee is terminated, then they have to pay everything back. That's the
Yes.
way I'm reading it. So no matter what, they have their first year, if we terminate them in any way, they have to pay it back.
Yes, that's, you know, like I say, we mirrored this exactly from pretty
Yeah.
well West Plains, and we looked at several, and that's exactly what all other police departments are doing.
Okay.
Except for, it is worth noting, I mean, if they're terminated,
Right.
there are some caveats, like if we
Yeah, I mean, reduction in
downsize or something
force
that's
and
not,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
their
Yeah.
fault. But if they're,
But-
I shouldn't say fault, but if it's their issue that leads their termination.
And there's so-called a payment plan, I think that's built in there too as well.
Yeah. The repayment's the only other thing I mean, if anything, it's good. I mean, I like the fact that they have to stay on. You know, if you don't make it through, 1 year, then you have to pay everything back. That's fine. But I think, I don't know, 3 years, I'm wondering how competitive that is. I mean,
It just depends on what your investment in them is, what you want out of them, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're putting quite a bit of money in there, you
Yeah.
want to get a few years out of them probably.
Yeah, it's $6,000. Okay.
Anybody else? Thanks, Randy.
Just note and carry over that we also put in a contract we'd like to do for the K-9 officer. We have not begun recruitment yet on that K-9. That recruitment is occurring internal, just so you know. But this is a case of where I think the cost of the K-9 and training is now $12,000. And the dog goes with the officer, so if the officer leaves in a year, we've lost our dog as well. So it is a significant investment on the city's part. We think it's a worthy investment, but we do want to kind of make sure that they're committed to staying in Boonville and not just going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Just an update. I think that we are going to be closing on the library property swap next week. So we are finally transferring ownership, so I think we're there.
Does that mean they're moving?
Well, they're gonna start rehabbing, and
So
then,
we're not moving yet.
The interior work's gonna begin, the stairwell and the bathroom renovations and.
yeah,
How's the elevator? Do we know any news about that or?
it
no?
works.
Oh, so they did I thought they were having an issue about doing an elevator on the back.
It works now. Passed inspection and it works.
All right, cool.
It's still hoped it'll be the end of the year, but we've got this construction to get through first, so interior constructions.
But we won't own it.
Yeah. What?
I said we, the city, will not own it.
Oh, no, it'll be.
The library will own it.
It'll be my.
That's all I have.
Okay, item B. Discussion of real and personal property tax collection. Did everybody take a chance to read this? Yeah. Okay. Kate and I went to that meeting. I'm not sure whether she was more angry than I, or I was more angry than her coming out of that meeting. The collection of real and personal property tax collection, some of you have been around long enough to know how it's being done. We've got a pretty good, clean, smooth situation right now. It has a long history. 94 was the first year. 91 was the first year. The people that are involved are good, they're solid. Diana's done it for several years. For those of you that have met Jared, the new clerk, he's a solid guy, a really good guy. We reimbursed them for doing this personally, 1.5% of the gross that they take in. And the one thing that I'd like for you all to remember is personal property tax collection is for every city in the county. That's what they're talking about here. That portion of the property tax is collected at the same time as the county portion. If you were to separate out and do it ourselves, they get collected at a different time. So now you, as a property owner, have to write one check. That's how it is now. You can go down, write it, and give it to Diana. If George were to have his way, we would be collecting. And we did it one time. That's why the 91 agreement was made. So that's item A. Item B is the amount. They want to cheap it down. And how many years has it been, 1.5%? Almost all of it.
From 91 to 2018.
Yeah. All of these years, that's what it's been for the clerk and for the collector. It's,
I think,
which one of us was more red-faced coming out of there?
I think just to give a very brief overview for people who are not at the table, this is a very in-the-weeds issue and it can become complicated, but essentially in state statute, since the 50s, I think is when the statute was written, there's a provision by which the municipalities are empowered to collect their own taxes. It's a whole chapter set up. You have a collector, you appoint them, or you can elect them. There's a whole process. So the cities can, at their choosing, collect their own real and personal property tax, their portion of the real and personal property tax. As an alternative, they created a mechanism by which you can contract with elected officials who do like duties. So the clerk and the collector at the county can do tax collection. So you enter into a contract with them. That contract has to be approved by the county commissioners. That's in the state statutes. When we first talked about it, they're kind of like buckets and you can't mix the buckets. So it's not like you can do half at the city and then turn it over to the county. You can't do that because you're sealing the books that they're true and accurate. That's the clerk's job. They do what they call extension, and that they certify that the numbers in there are correct and accurate. A county clerk could not seal it and then give it to the city to collect because the county has no authority in the city world, and vice versa. Amber could not seal it and then give it to the collector at the county because her seal doesn't have any authority, so that's not the appropriate way that tax collection should be done. So, I forgot, I probably should have included that beginning memo about how tax collection occurs, so I apologize, but we have been dealing with this since 19, and we've essentially been in limbo. We kind of gave it a rest during the election cycle just to see where we ended up. We had requested a meeting with the commissioners to discuss this issue, and Commissioner Monk asked us to join this group of municipalities. So we all met and had this conversation.
And the other communities who also get their taxes from the collector, there were, what, half a dozen of them there? They didn't come away real happy either. So we wanted, Kate and I wanted to make sure that you knew, that you were aware that this was going on. We're gonna continue to work it, because we need to get it done, so that we can get the taxes collected. For the folks that have been sitting on the board for a little while, last 4 or 5 years, you know how ugly this got in getting things signed over the last few years. It's now decided to get a little more ugly.
So I'm kind of confused because it seems to me like they're just wanting them to do it or nothing.
Yes, that is exactly how you should read that.
Yep.
Okay, so what's our?
Or, well, it says reasonable flat rate, preferably pro bono, so there's, what, define reasonably flat rate.
It was not, they did not define reasonable.
No, and we couldn't get an answer out of that.
So, sorry to interrupt you, point of clarity on this, so, in theory, the commissioners and the city could come to an agreement, but the clerk and the collector can decline to do the services.
Correct, so really ideally you would negotiate with your clerk and the collector.
However,
And then go to the
so,
commissioners.
I find the most confusing part about this is you actually have to have them independently approve whatever it is that we want them to do. And if one or the other does not approve what we want, even though we may have the approval of one of the arms, we're still at a loss, because if we come to agreement with the commissioners and they're on board with it, the clerk and or commissioner could in theory not proceed. In the same way where if we come to an agreement with the clerk and collector, then the commissioners could say, we don't approve, and then that's where we were the last couple of years, correct? So this is a very unique situation where you have to appease both parties at the same time in order to come to a conclusion.
Sounds like government.
So I don't know if you call that checks and balances or not, but that's essentially the way in which the mechanism has to work. So it does make it quite complicated.
Was the clerk or collector at this meeting?
Yes,
And I'm sure they were thrilled.
they didn't have much
They're
to
not,
say at the meeting.
Yeah.
they're not really happy.
It was my understanding when they meet, the commissioners meet, well, it doesn't matter. But when the commissioners meet, it was my understanding the clerk and them had to be there when they met. So this wasn't the first time they saw this, right?
No, the clerk and collector had actually previously seen this at when the commissioners were in session,
I mean, this is
prior
just,
to the meeting that we met with them.
this is, I mean, should be done, This is such a limbo piece of writing.
Well, one of the things they're forgetting, on purpose, by the way, is whose money this is. This is the City of Boonville, City of Dunston, all of the cities in the county. It's our money. They're just collecting it for us and writing us a check. So what we want to do is something simple, just pay them a commission to do it, and that's what we've been doing since '91.
Yeah, well, and I did do some research. I think almost every other county in the state does that. I mean, this isn't anything.
In some form and fashion.
Yeah,
You're correct.
You gotta pay, they're doing something, a service for us.
Right.
Okay.
Steve, go ahead.
So do we still have old contracts to clean up sometime?
Diana's contract is the only one presently in there, but have it expiring in August. So,
I mean, do we have contracts we have not paid on?
well, you
in the
don't
last few
have those
years?
people in office anymore, so it's a moot point at
So
this.
the contract's still not, I mean,
We
it was
never
good
had
at
a-
that time, we never had those.
We never had a contract signed with the commissioners for the
Okay.
clerk's extension.
But we never signed anything with the clerk.
We signed something, but it was never approved, so it never
Yeah,
occurred.
Still weird.
And now that clerk is out of office,
Right.
so. I just want to say as a point of timing that we're going to keep working on this, and that August date is intentional, because should we not have any direction in August, then we will probably be forced to collect our own, so.
And we don't want to do that. We can, though.
I just want to recommend that we try to work with the county commissioners instead of against them. If there's some way we can continue to meet, keep up open communication, I think we can work through this.
We're in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
We're
important.
going to endeavor.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember too, that all of the county salaries are paid by the city of Boonville and county citizens. So we're all on the same team. We need to
Right.
make sure that we realize that this is
We
getting
do.
the administrative business of the city and the county to work together in an efficient manner. So we're all on the same team. We just need to make sure we can organize this in a way that helps everyone.
We will get over that hump.
So do we think we have commissioners we can work with now? Because before, they weren't gonna agree on anything.
We have that.
Okay. That's been another $100,000.
City clerk,
Nothing.
economic developer. You got a nanosecond.
Okay, I'll read really fast. Or do you want me to cut some of it out? It's fine. I can send it to you in email, whatever you guys like. Okay, so a lot of things going on. I just kind of wanted to go through some updates. Some of the things aren't really in the city limits of Boonville, but they're certainly probably going to impact you guys. So I kind of wanted to cover those too. With our port, our Howard Cooper County Port Authority Board is continuing to move on the port forwarding to become sustainable. They have recently submitted advertising on bids for the construction of 2 large grain bins. Bids are scheduled to be open April 11th, so they're moving really fast on that. These bins will be constructed adjacent to the existing bins at the port and will help area farmers too. The effort to bring CDL training, which is commercial driver's license training, to Boonville is still work in progress. State Fair Community College has received another grant in addition to the one that I had told you about last quarter, which will give them the power to purchase another truck for training. We have a potential site owner expressing interest to learn more of a partnership for a potential future training pad. If funds can be gathered for paving of 450 feet by 225 feet, which is the recommended size of the pad. To bring CDL training to Boonville is going to take more than State Fair, Community College, and myself putting this effort forward. It's going to take the involvement of our area and surrounding area trucking industry, our area corporations who have a trucking fleet, for our organizations who use buses, our farmers who transport grain or livestock with commercial drivers, and a host of others. This is going to take involvement by those who it benefits the most. So I have reached out to some of them. I've only heard back from one, which was a little disappointing, but you know, I'm flopping around, going back and forth. So maybe if we can organize a committee to maybe push that effort and see what we get. I do think it will benefit our industry here all around because that's a big thing. It'll benefit our county too because they need CDL drivers too for some of their trucks. So update on A&D Barracks. This project is moving forward. Unless you guys have completed a historical credit application, I don't think any of us can comprehend the work that is involved in this process and the number of fingers this application touches before even thinking about moving to the review stage, let alone the approval stage. With that said, there are checks, double checks, triple checks to make sure this project meets the historical preservation guidelines before any historic tax credit will be approved. I mention this because there is a great deal of work being completed behind the scenes. Many of us, including me, were not aware of this process until the investor and Kate have kept me in the loop with back and forth emails. Kate has been a valuable resource to this fact-finding, survey gathering, picture processing, responsible negotiations, and document collecting for this project. Large projects like this do not move forward without boots on the ground efforts, and Kate has been amazing. I do hope this project does move forward, and I just kind of want to tell you why. This senior housing opportunity will give our seniors on fixed incomes affordable quality living. It will give our seniors a walkable campus. They can walk to access the resources at the library. They can walk to State Fair Community College to expand their educational knowledge with senior classes that are offered there at SFCC. They can walk to swim or exercise at our YMCA. They can walk around the 44-acre site for a breath of fresh air. They can, in the future, walk to Academic Hall, the home of the future expanded child care facility for the YMCA, and possibly observe and maybe even help in reading, writing, math, or craft building with the children on site. There are senior living sites and facilities adjacent to child care who in the state of Missouri who have collaborated with one another and could work. So I see that as a benefit of this project. Other projects I'm working on, Project Mindfulness is still working behind the scenes. I followed up with them last week and they're still compiling data. Project Travel, I connected with an entrepreneur who was given my name by the Columbia SB Small Business Development Center, known as SBDC. I connected the entrepreneur to an area business partner via Teams meeting, and I'm hoping for some opportunities to potentially grow in Boonville. So I thought that was very nice that Columbia SBDC sent someone our way. I hope I can keep those efforts going. I'm working to continue to promote the Boonville Area Chamber of Commerce. Even though I have stepped away from the board, I am remaining as an ambassador to the chamber and hope that others will join in this effort. The ambassador side of the chambers is the fun without scheduled commitment. It can work around your schedule and everyone's schedule. It's more of a volunteer basis and you attend the things that you can. But it's actually activating people to get more involved and getting the chamber more bodies to help in Heritage Days and other activities, and it's really fun. During last week's chamber social at Cooper's Lodge, I met a Columbia, Missouri resident who's a member of the Boonville Chamber and the person leading the effort to expand and improve our local farmers market. He has reached out to me over the weekend to schedule a meeting. I'm excited for this connection and intrigued by the work he has already completed to enhance our local farmers market, even though he resides in Boone County. This was a sheet he gave me, and he's already got things lined up, set up, and they're doing a ribbon cutting there for their opening day, April 22nd. And I'm excited what he's bringing to our farmers market. I was elected to the board of the MEDC, Missouri Economic Development Council for the Central Region, hoping to learn more on the state level and to bring back to our area, because I really didn't know what was going on at state level, and I'm hoping to learn more. And actually, I wasn't really elected. I was at a table and no one else volunteered. So that's how that happened. Attended MEDC Summit in Jefferson City. Lots of movement with legislators and proposed bills. There is a bill requesting tax credit funding for short-line railroads, and I'm hearing some of that verbiage of the bill will open to any railroad, including Union Pacific, which is not a short line, which is here in Boonville. The 3-lane across I-70 is being discussed in meetings. Some resistance from areas that are not impacted or near I-70 is being heard. Representative Cindy Buchet Courtway, I may have butchered her name, but is the chair of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and she spoke at our summit expressing that she is pushing for the efforts to have 6 lanes all across the state. Right now, the efforts are just in Kansas City, St. Louis, and Columbia, but she is on that transportation committee, and she did voice her opinion about that. Other topics were discussed, and I just wanted to also give, Mark Grimm was there, and he kind of spoke about, Mark Grimm was instrumental in helping us figure out the Kawasaki, the IDA, and how that could all work, and writing that. But he was there kind of helping people understand how to bring business into the area. And I just wanted to give one crazy example of what happened in Warren County of trying to put different things together and pieces together to attract business. And so what this area lacked access issues for adequate wastewater for this corporation and had limited water access too. This was an $800 million project to come to this community. The company decided to build their own wastewater treatment plant, which cost them $100 million. They sold it back to the water district for $40 million, and then entered into a long-term agreement with that district to offset some of their expenses that cost to build. I mean, these are just some of the easy things that are going that I wouldn't even have dreamed that in my wildest dreams to be able to do something like that. So I just kind of wanted to present to you guys some things that are going on, and they did win that, they did bring that company to Warren County. So Windsor Place, I'm bringing that to your attention too. I know that I told you guys that that site, the industrial park, was state certified. I just kind of want to keep bringing this to your all's attention, even though it's out of your all's area. I do think it will impact the Boonville area as it is being developed. So right now, they're trying to market it, and as you're aware, we're a certified site, and the state of Missouri, and they're putting marketing efforts underway to plan this site development. And they had someone in here 2 weeks ago that I took around town and took her to our housing developments, our transportation infrastructures, and they're trying to gather all this data about our area to market that industrial park. So I think that is a good thing. Okay, so to end, just to kind of pump everyone up, just some things that are going on. MU Healthcare off Jackson Road will have their grand opening April 11th at 3 p.m. Scooters is open. Agra Drone Spray is progressing toward opening in their new home west of town. Kawasaki is talking about a 5th line. Club Car Wash is scheduling a June opening. After years of planning on the port, it is one step closer to having 2 new grain bins. A new real estate office is opened in downtown. Boone Point has their apartments under construction and two 0-lot lines, another one under construction. Fox Hollow has sold some lots and planning some new housing starts soon. More acreage housing opportunities have opened up and around Boonville. B&R Gun Supply and Conquest Automotive expanded in the former Rick Ball Collision Center and was acquired by Overstreet Investments, who continues to invest in Boonville. Ribbon cutting on April 27 for the expanded farmers market. This just exciting activity, and that's all I have. Any questions? I'm excited about all this activity. Are you guys? I'm excited. It's a team effort, but yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
Thanks, Gigi.
Thanks, Gigi. Item 12, miscellaneous.
To get back to the concern that Mr. Lang expressed, I have had people express the same concern about traffic issues coming in and out of, what's it called, Boone Point. And I'm just wondering, have we addressed those concerns? It's not us that has to address it? That's, okay.
It's a MoDOT road, so it's, MoDOT reviewed their access plan and approved it.
Okay.
So are they gonna change anything going up that hill? Because when people go up that hill, a lot of them take that center lane up the hill, don't even look. I mean, that's the first thing they do. So if somebody's up there.
You're talking about Ashley.
Yeah, going
Highway
up that
5.
street, that's
Okay.
gonna be scary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
Just,
think,
sorry, just something to add on that too. With the turnoff, if you're going south on 5, going up the hill, you do have Rolling Hills Park there with the turnoff, and then soon after you have the turnoff into
Yeah.
the lane. So if we could talk to the state about that, of making that dedicated turn lane until you're past Boone
Yes.
Point, I think there's a simple
Yeah.
solution that we could potentially do, and certainly provide input to the state.
yeah,
Make it
I
state
think
highway.
we
Yeah, I
can
got
visit
some
with
pain.
Kirsten about it, the
Got
area
some pain.
engineer, but
Is it the developer who's responsible for the streets, like the winding hill that?
Yeah.
he's-
Inside
Yeah,
the development.
so it's
Yeah.
the developer.
yeah, and the only variance, Scott might have to refresh my memory, or Steve, we did give them some variance on the steepness of that hill. It's actually the same steepness as Main Street Hill, so, just so you're, can put something else in perspective. And that was primarily due to the conditions of it just being solid rock underneath it, so, but otherwise it met all of the other conditions. I think that was the only variance. Steve, do you remember?
Yeah, it was.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Going to maybe get an update from Russ on our water situation from the last time recorded. Has it improved? The river was so low, you know.
Oh, the river level, yeah, the river, it's come up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah, we're in
pumping
good
water, huh?
Yeah, we're in
Good shape,
we're- yeah,
okay, great,
We're fine.
good deal.
I got one.
What?
Before I got here tonight, and Andrew had already emailed all of us on this, I was looking at what Columbia was going to be voting on for trash cans, for what we used, the bins, trash bins. And the first one is free. Second one is $5, and is it 5 from there on, or is it, okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's Boonville.
yes.
Yes, okay,
This is
good.
us. I believe we use a 65 gallon, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
If you were in Columbia right now, it would be $17.37 a piece for those trash cans,
For the 65.
For
for the 65. If you wanted the 95 gallon, it's 23 almost. So, just a heads up that there's other places that are going through growing pains too, and it's, probably gonna hit a lot of people a lot worse than us. So,
Good.
just a little something to think about.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody else? Steve?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, who's got the second?
No?
Third.
Thanks y'all for coming tonight.